fresh, local, organic programming. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Hi. You know us as Team Fresh, but we are quickly becoming the shareable library. It is my pleasure today to share with you the about us of our website and of our project. So, Allison Sang is the Youth Services Technology Librarian at Algonquin Public Library. Some of her favorite programs involve Scratch, 3D printing, Minecraft, Raspberry Pis, and pretty much anything that involves a robot. Ariane Carey is the new manager in the Youth Services Department at Niles. She celebrates the sharing of ideas and of things. She's the oldest of 5 kids, so she's had a lot of practice at sharing, and now she's making her own 3 children and all of the kids at her library share as well. Deidre Winterhalter is a lifelong learner. She is a new program coordinator for kids and teens at Niles Public Library. She is particularly interested in free and low-cost computer applications and making stuff that does stuff. Tabitha Anderson is the play coordinator and programming librarian at the Barrington Area Library. She loves being a librarian because every day she gets to connect young people to a world that inspires curiosity, wonder, and learning. And I am Natalie Williams. I am a people-driven, service-oriented type, so as the head of youth services at Indian Prairie Public Library, I get to try to make every day matter by helping others, supporting staff, and building relationships in my community. So, we are just 5 of the many librarians in the greater Chicago area who are creating exciting interactive programming for all ages. Separately, we've been using our limited resources to create programs, spaces, and partnerships. But like many of you, we don't have all of the money that we want and need to buy all of the stuff and equipment and technology that we want and need. And we don't have the time to learn how to use each of that technology in a way that allows us to create really great quality programs. We are limited both by the time and by the money. So we began to imagine what we could accomplish if we truly began sharing resources, that time, that professional expertise, and all of the equipment that we each have. So a year ago, we were strangers. We didn't know each other. Today, we're friends, teammates, collaborators, and co-creators. For the last 9 months or so, we have met and talked regularly. We have worked together and independently. We've created a website. We've learned WordPress. We've played with widgets. We've tested theories about sharing. We've experimented with Bbots and Ozobots and sewing machines and all of the other toys that we've been able to buy because of our grant money. Thank you, ILEAD. We've started presenting the shareable library at professional meetings. We were just at ILA, and we're beginning to share this with all of our colleagues. And today we get to share it with you. So we have created this virtual space, or an online marketplace, where librarians can share and swap fresh programming ideas, real materials, and professional know-how. We want to encourage librarians to share their ideas and their experiences, to train and shadow each other, and to swap materials and programs. We believe that by collaborating and combining our resources, that we will be able to provide a greater variety and greater quality of programs for each of our communities. So our project has 3 components: share, shadow, and swap. We're going to go into each one of those now, and Deidre is up first.
Good afternoon. Sharing, as you can tell in the name and what we've been saying, encompasses the theme of the entire project, but this portion of the website is specifically dedicated to blog posts that are crowdsourced. So these are on successful programs and emerging ideas from ourselves and fellow librarians. To get the blog started, we posted descriptions of some of our favorite programs, and we also recruited other fabulous librarians to post descriptions and details of their best ideas. We were influenced by a lot of wonderful resources. Our submission structure for the blog itself is pretty similar to ALA's Programming Librarian blog. like that resource, we suggest adding details such as target ages, budgets, intended outcomes, evaluation, if that part is included or needed. But the difference between this resource and Programming Librarian is that we're primarily local. We're all in the Chicago area or the Illinois area. And so one of the suggested components of each blog post is a statement of willingness to swap whatever materials are discussed or be shadowed in whatever activity is described. One thing that we would like to expand it to potentially is to also include lesson plan type things for school librarians that incorporate standards. I think someone mentioned that a little earlier, that school librarians have reached out and been interested in having a more formal description and better tie into educational standards. We didn't have time for that, but it's something that we'd like to keep on the horizon. So although sharing expensive equipment is a large component of our idea because of the money-saving aspect, in this part of the website, this sharing part, the blog part, we encourage people to share ideas and experiences about all kinds of programming. So if you, Leora, scroll up toward the top of the page, you can see our first, the top description on here is that first picture, which is simply an interactive drawing incorporated into a story time. So that wasn't high tech, but it's a great idea, and it's a really lovely description. The next thing that you see going down, it's also not high tech. It's family scrapbooking, a calendar. In addition to, if you keep scrolling, higher tech things like Ozobots and sewing program and taking apart electronics and using a laser cutter for a pinhole camera presentation. So we have all different kinds. This is a part of our resource that includes all different kinds of programming. And not just that equipment, but that expertise that people have. In addition, the next step in the project is to get people sharing experiences in this space. So we've been able to recruit a few people. We've done a little work in what we could. In a little while, Tabitha is going to tell you more about getting involved in adding to the site. And while I'm bringing up Tabitha, I wanted to point out that if you scroll back to the top of the page, Tabitha designed the website. Tabitha designed these symbols for the share, shadow, and swap. She got the colors together. She spent, and now Allison also helped on the website. We've all done a little bit. But Tabitha, if you've ever developed a website, spent hours and hours and hours and hours. And while we did this as a team, and I'm sure that that's what Tabitha would say, I wanted to make sure and point that out because I know how long that takes. So up now is Allison to tell us about the shadowing experience that we're promoting.
Thank you, Leora. Hello, everybody. So I'm excited to share the shadowing aspect of our site to you all. It is my personal favorite component. Shadowing is the component in which we developed to offer librarians our own learning opportunities and professional development opportunities that we ourselves can set up and create. I am personally indebted to ILEAD because it gave me a professional development opportunity, but I work full time. We all have very busy lives and schedules, and we take on a little bit more than we can chew. So we can't attend every meeting. We can't attend every professional development opportunity. We can't learn all of the programs and become experts in everything. There's just too much out there today. So we wanted to offer some way in some format that we could take a moment and meet another librarian who could show us how to do something, and in that way increase our expertise and our own know-how. So the shadowing, how it works on our site is we do have an explanation. Leora, our lovely assistant, is on here. It explains how you can shadow. And then at the very bottom, you can see we have a link to the Shareable Library Google Forum. On the Google forum, what you can do is you can create a post. And in the post, you can say, hey, I have been asked at my library to learn how to use Lego Mindstorms, and I have no idea what to do, and I hear there's a bit of a learning curve. Is there anybody out there that could help me become an expert and develop this skill so I can do a program on my library? Hopefully, someone out there will be able to say, yes, I would be happy to meet with you and show you how to use Lego Mindstorms. Conversely, if you're an expert in Lego Mindstorms, you could put a post out there and say, I'm doing a program and my library is okay with you coming or a few people coming to watch me do this program. So we hope that this forum will be a great place for librarians to have a conversation and find other like-minded librarians to help them out and develop each of our individual skills. So if we could go back to the site, thank you. So how we envision the shadowing aspect to take place is in two different ways. We hope that if you post and you can meet with a librarian, that you can actually set up a one-on-one and sort of do a train-the-trainer experience. You can meet at another library. You can meet at an agreed-upon location. The other way we hope that this happens is that you can actually find someone who's doing a program one day and go and watch that librarian run the program, because there is no better way to learn how to do a program than to watch it actually happen. So if you can actually see a librarian running it, interacting with the patrons, understanding how they use the technology or a craft program, then you would feel much more confident going in as well. So during ILEAD, how we tested this experience was actually doing shadowing events. I had the pleasure of having Ariane. She attended a public access services meeting at the Algonquin Library, and we attended the meeting, and afterwards we set aside 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and I showed her how to use Makey-Makeys. So that was great. It was really personal. It was just a fun way to actually interact with each other and get some experience with some technology. She was able to ask me questions. There was no pressure. It was just a really nice way to actually have a little professional development. The other thing that we did is Deidre, she drove out to Algonquin, which is kind of far from where she lives, and she came out and watched me run a Minecraft program. And I did a Minecraft program that involved Tinkercad and downloading 3D print designs and putting it into a world editor and then putting it into Minecraft. And it was super fun. But I, of course, had technical difficulties, and so she helped me troubleshoot that, and so it was a mutually beneficial experience. But I really enjoyed having her there, and she got to see me with my Minecrafters and how I ran the program and just the interactions and what we did. So she can now go back to Niles and say how to do this, and she can herself actually run a program. So we do hope that librarians will find this beneficial and that they will be able to increase their repertoire and their skills and feel like they can bring a little bit more back to their library to develop their services there. I'm going to now pass the mic over to Ariane.
Okay, so the first three aspects of our program, our project, sharing, shadowing, are kind of something that you may have seen before. There may be opportunities that are presenting themselves for librarians to engage in this type of sharing. But the swap is what we're super excited about. So our users can take advantage of both instruction and material that is outside of their libraries. Librarians who join us can post materials that they're willing to send out of their library. The Google forum that we were just looking at with the shadowing is also a place where you can utilize the site for advertising your wants and offerings. Wants might be something like a set of Lego We-Dos. Perhaps you've had your eye on them and you'd like to put them in next year's budget, but you're not sure if they'll take off in your community. And before you spend your dear resources on a set, if you could line up a classroom set to borrow and put the program on in your space, you would know for certain that that was money worth spending. Perhaps your offerings might be something like a set of geocaching units. Perhaps you offer that program twice a year, and for the other 6 months, the units sit in your closet. Well, they don't need to sit in your closet. They can be out in service in another community, and another community can offer that program to their patrons. Arrangements for the exchange of the materials is to be determined between the librarians. We, again, recommend utilizing professional meetings. Those meetings are scheduled. They're on the calendar. Rails has a great calendar you can browse. And odds are that someone from your library is headed to or meeting up with someone from a loaning library. So this will take some planning, and it is kind of a long range planning process, but I think once we get in the groove, I think everyone will be able to make these connections. The fun part of the swap is that you can actually swap experienced librarians. Instructional exchanges are possible through this forum. For example, Allison, we've done one already. Allison, well, we've set one up already. Allison is headed to Niles in November to put on a Makey program with our teen librarian. And in the following month, Deidre is headed with the sewing machines to do a Sew Simple program. We have used ILEAD USA grant funds to seed the swap element of our project with materials that we're willing and able to send out. We do realize that this might be a library taking a slow step into this process before they're willing to send out their materials. So the materials that we've purchased through the grant are, the spark to get this program running. Allison has bought a set of 6 Ozbots. Natalie bought a classroom set of Lego We-Dos. Tabitha bought a set of ukuleles. I bought a 6-pack of geocaching units, and Deidre purchased the 6 sewing machines and irons for each, and a little, what's the little flat thing that you iron on? You can tell I don't do that. Thank you, ironing board. So the materials don't have to be from your libraries right off the bat, but I think once your administration and your supervisor see the benefit of this, they'll be able to join in as well. So the site is super usable and very easy, and thanks to Tabitha who set this up, everyone can join in rather quickly. Tabitha is going to review with you that process, so I will hand that over to her.
Okay, so we do have a frequently asked questions page on our website. Thank you, Leora. And this page on the site is constantly growing because we realize that you are our users, and things that might seem not a problem to us who have been looking at the site for too long might be a problem for somebody else. So we will be continuing to grow what these questions are. We have already thought about some questions that might be possible hesitations for your library. For example, how do you convince your supervisor to let you participate in a shadow or a swap opportunity? And this is much like a how do I get my supervisor to let me go to a conference or a professional development. The talking points are very similar because the things that you learn and you are able to bring back to your library have probably even more of an effect because you're offering bigger programs and more programs that are unique with the same amount of work. So we also have an area for guidelines and tips for a swap. We have the helping you coordinate the swap and the shadow as well, some tips for that. And then we also have a link to our email address should you see any need for one of the questions to be added, or if you have a question to ask us, because we would like to provide you with good customer service. We will be available by email to answer questions that you have or point you in the right direction to get that question answered for you. Okay, so now you're probably asking, how do we get on board? This sounds awesome, hopefully. So if you go ahead and head back up to the forum, yep. So you guys are able to already start swapping and shadowing material on this forum you simply have to add yourself as a member. You sign into Google, and you can go ahead and from that site, from that same link, add yourself as a member to this forum. You don't need to be connected to the share blog or anything. You can get going now. So if you know how to help Renee out with Arduinos, somebody get on that. You can also start joining our share blog. And if you could go back to the frequently asked questions page. Yeah, so there's a link that tells you how you start contributing to our blog. It's got some good information on there for what things to start thinking about for your blog post. We have kind of narrowed down some of the things that Programming Librarian, the website, had suggested for your posts. And so we have some simple suggestions for you, like your name at the end of the post and a contact email, because people will be interested in what you're doing and maybe ask you questions. And finally, we have this area at the bottom to get you started as an author to this blog. When you fill out that and you send us your WordPress email, and you can send us your job title too if you so wish, you will be a member. You will be granted access to the authorship of this blog. So this blog not only becomes our blog, but it becomes your blog. So this ILEAD has been an exciting journey for us. We've been able to create this blog, and we were given space to take risks and think really big. And as my teammates have stated previously, we believe that the Shareable Library is an opportunity for librarians to grow and to collaborate and to teach each other. We have not placed many limits on what your posts or shadows or swaps look like, because they belong to you. And instead, we are inviting you to create this community alongside us. The Share blog provides a space for you to share your thoughts and ideas and your programs. And it gives you a space to learn from others. Our shadowing forum provides you with an opportunity to teach others and to learn from them in a physical environment, a one-on-one meeting. And then our swap forum provides your library with the opportunity to expand the variety of programs you provide your community in an economical and collaborative way. When one person joins the Shareable Library, the addition of that one person's ideas multiply the programs that we can each offer our community. So your submissions and your contributions will multiply the impact we can each have in our communities. And that is something that's truly exciting. We cannot wait to see the things that you create, the things that you share, and how you use this marketplace and how you help expand our Shareable Library. And before we conclude, we would like to thank the ILEAD USA staff, our cohort, the mentors, Instructor Corps, and the Illinois State Library staff for all of your support, your hard work, your advocacy. We appreciate you and all of your hard work, and for allowing us the space to think big and take risks. And we will leave you with this. The Shareable Library is an idea. It is an idea that belongs to each of us. And it is an idea that can affect all of us. And we would like to invite you to help make this idea even better. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
So, in the many years ago, I was approached by someone at the U.S. Department of Education to create a database of lesson plans. And the idea was, well before the turn of the century, that teachers would take these lesson plans and use them and great education would occur. There was a plan like this in Japan, and they found in Japan there was this constant improvement process. And when we tried it, it turns out it failed miserably because teachers never would take a lesson plan and implement it as they found it. They always needed to modify it or change it for their given context or community, which you would think we would have paid attention to at the time. And that's why I really love about this, the idea that it's not just post a kit, post a worksheet. It's the community and the sharing and the shadowing are essential parts of it. So I just wanted to really compliment you on bringing that aspect into it and encourage you to look at expanding it. So.
Deidre and I have experience in the classroom. I used to be a high school English teacher, and Deidre was a school librarian. And both of us really look fondly back on our student teaching days because I learned so much from watching other teachers teach.
Yeah, like how to control a crowd.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they don't teach you classroom management in library school, and they don't teach you that in education anymore. Well, they didn't, but it's such a powerful thing to watch someone else, and I'm really excited to give other librarians a chance to do that.
Stuart.
Yeah, this is probably, I think I'm safe saying it in this room, but is there an evaluation tool? Because, we all have crazy other librarians that we don't want coming to our program. So, is there some sort of evaluation tool?
We talked about like a Yelp feature, just giving people stars, but we're not here to judge. And also, I think what we should probably add as a recommendation for setting up sharing or swapping is that you should ask for references.
Much like performers.
Meet them in a public place.
Yeah. I mean,
We're a flower and they have
I think it's the same type of concept that we each hire performers to come to our library. Sometimes we take a risk and that risk pays off, and sometimes it really doesn't. But we do require, as we get more seasoned in what this looks like, we hopefully will be able to offer each other references and say, oh yeah, I had the Ozobots at my library. It was awesome and the kids were crazy about it. So, do that. So I think, the more and more we talk about it with each other, and the more and more we know each other, and we know all the librarians that are close to you and would be able to come to your library, and their skills and their talents. And so being able to say yeah, you're really good at that. Would you mind coming to my library for an hour, and I'll go to your library for an hour, and we can each do this program that we're really good at because I know you and you're awesome at this. And that's even more beneficial.
Yeah, and to add to that, even if people don't choose to use the tool that we have created, hopefully this is opening up the idea and a dialogue among librarians of more shadowing and swapping of experience.
This is a really great project, and it seems like at least the programming ideas that you have shared with us today are primarily focused on children services. So my question would be, and we've learned a lot about makerspaces today, I'm kind of excited about how college students would college students enjoy playing with makey-makeys? I think yes, and this would be great because I don't necessarily have the time or the energy to try to do a new program, but if I could bring someone else in or work with somebody from the public. So do you see this working for adult type of programs? And then also, would you be willing to expand out of the public library realm and maybe do some sharing across libraries?
So that's why we actually said that we haven't put any limits on this. So when we went to ILA this last weekend, that was what we heard. We heard from school librarians, we heard from academic librarians, and they were just as excited about this as programming librarians. So absolutely, as an academic librarian, why can't you get on there and say, hey, I'm running a program for, makey-makey. Can somebody let me borrow their stuff or show me how to use them? Why not? We don't need to set those limits, so go for it.
Yeah.
What's your plan for promoting this to libraries?
Well, one thing is our honorary team member, Erin, passed out our business cards. We did use part of our funding from ILEAD to purchase business cards. And yet again, the marvelous Miss Tabitha Anderson designed our business cards. And yeah, I know, we're really lucky to have her on this team. So we do have the business cards, and we have so many, and we hope to pass them out. And we have tons. We also, throughout ILEAD, we had the honor of being able to present at Tinker, which is a Chicagoland networking group specifically for youth and young adult librarians. And we were able to share our presentation there. And so that got the word out there a little bit. We are hoping to present at future conferences and really just start getting the word out there and getting followers who hopefully by word of mouth will also help us out, and maybe in time it will grow and it will be a sustaining community.
Last question, if there's going to be one.
Beck.
So something that Stuart sort of brought up, and then I just wanted to reveal or underscore that didn't necessarily come across in the presentation, is how controversial the idea to swap was for you guys at first. And I just, I think it's a powerful, powerful idea, and I'm really glad that you pushed yourselves to make it happen, despite the fact that there are complications that will emerge and maybe potentially experiences that you would have rather avoided. I think it's really great that you decided to take that risk and are offering that.
We really feel that's what sets us apart from all of the other blogs or all of the other professional development. And I mean, the real idea here is we know that we're all out there learning new things, we all want more equipment, and we can multiply all of that if we work together.
Yeah. And I would like to add that when we did present at Tinker, we were well received, and throughout this experience we found that when we talked to our superiors, they were on board with that idea. They had some questions or constraints that they wanted to put out there, but they were saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. My boss in particular really liked the idea of reciprocity. So as long as Deidre was going to do a program for me, it was totally okay if I went there, because then they're paying me to do programs, and so it wasn't as much of an issue. So that was really great. And when we shared at Tinker, we found a partnership there, and so we're hoping to collaborate and here on out, and utilizing that space as a swapping location as well, and things like that. So
I think they're playing the music.
Oh,
sorry, Andy.
All right,